Asylums have long been sites of unimaginable suffering and abuse, and Pennsylvania's Ravenhurst Psychiatric Hospital was one of the most brutal. Previously known as the Eastern Pennsylvania State Institution for the Criminally Insane, it opened its doors in November 1883. During its 71 years of operations, there were many allegations laid against the management and staff regarding their care of the patients. The charges included physical abuse, gross negligence, and even manslaughter. This culminated in 1953 with the discovery of hundreds of unmarked graves on the property. These factors led to the closure of the facility in 1954. But the asylum's woes didn't stop after its closure. Individuals have reported a plethora of supernatural activity at the facility, including the appearance of shadow-like figures, odd temperature changes, strange voices coming from the dark, and telekinetic activity. According to several researchers, hauntings seem to be linked with locations where great suffering has occurred, and this may be why the Ravenhurst facility has been called the most haunted place in North America. Several security guards have described recurrent sightings of ghost-like figures, and a few of them have reported physical interactions with specters, such as being shoved, scratched, or even bitten, with the assaults often leaving permanent physical marks on the victims. However, most people do not believe in the world of the supernatural. They would attribute an icy chill on the back of the neck, an indiscriminate noise in the dark, or an item moving by itself, as just the wind, that is, until they themselves are confronted by a manifestation from the spirit world. It's been 11 years since the facility was closed, but the supernatural activity has increased. It is up to you and your team of paranormal investigators to gather sufficient scientific evidence to convince a skeptical world that the supernatural realm truly exists, and to turn those skeptics into true believers. Skeptics is a cooperative paranormal investigation board game for 1 to 4 players, in which the players take on the role of an investigator that has traveled to a haunted location and are tasked with collecting proof that the supernatural world is real. The investigators must race against the clock to explore the various locations within the site. They need to collect and solve clues to the phantom's existence, while they build a scientific case that will prove the veracity of the specter. You will need to use your specialized equipment, a good dose of deductive reasoning, and a bit of luck to outwit the apparition, and find the scientific proof that will demonstrate to the unbelieving world that ghosts and the supernatural realm are indeed real.
Case file number 17717, The Child Ghost of Ravenhurst. In the autumn of 1965, the Bureau was contacted by the new owners of the now infamous Ravenhurst Psychiatric Hospital, located in eastern Pennsylvania. Although the facility has been closed since 1954, many security guards and maintenance men have reported strange sights and sounds while at the site. These include ethereal whispers, sounds of a heavy chain being dragged down a hallway, the sudden appearance of specter-like apparitions, doors slamming by themselves, and blood-curdling wails after dark, and the activity appears to be increasing in frequency and intensity. The hospital became the center of a nationwide scandal when reports emerged that cited widespread incidents of abuse and neglect that dated back some 7 decades. Sadly, during the institution's final month of operation, The young son of one of the hospital's directors was found dead inside a locked storage room. The boy's autopsy listed his demise as accidental death, but since then, many individuals have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a small boy manifesting in the shadows, and the sound of a child running and playing through the hospital's corridors. The BPI team must investigate the Ravenhurst facility and collect scientific proof that a child ghost haunts the darkened and crumbling halls of the now defunct facility.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight we'll be taking on the roles of paranormal investigators during the 1960s as we work to collect proof that the child ghost of Ravenhurst truly exists in the paranormal investigation board game, Skeptics. I'm going to begin the video by providing my thoughts about the game's components quality, rules complexity, and overall fun factor. Next, I'll introduce the game's components and the setup procedure. And finally, we'll begin a playthrough of the game where I'll provide a detailed explanation of the rules as we play. To begin, the component quality is excellent. The game board is wonderfully illustrated to capture the correct feel of a haunted asylum or a creepy museum. The playing cards have a satin finish and once again contain beautiful illustrations that help to transport the players inside the game's paranormal narrative. The dice are etched using a pleasant and legible color scheme and have a nice feel and weight to them. The counters and ghost sheets are thick and durable and will hold up to many playthroughs for years to come. The rulebook is printed in full color and is well written. It provides many examples of play throughout its 19 pages, as it easily guides the players through the game's procedures. The game's mechanics are both fun and engaging, offering the players many tough and absorbing choices, but at the same time keeping them on their toes by use of a clever timing mechanism and environment or event cards. As of the recording of this video, the game includes 2 bonus ghosts along with a promo pack that contains additional cards that add extra variety and complexity to the game. For those that enjoy campaign play, it also provides a storybook that links several games together to form a wider narrative. In conclusion, I would recommend the game for 1 to 4 players that enjoy cooperative play along with loads of quality thematic flavor, all wrapped inside a deductive backdrop. The different ghosts, along with the 2 locations provided, give the game a great amount of replayability. All in all, a splendid time is guaranteed for all. I give this game a 9.6 out of 10. If you wish to acquire a copy of the game for yourself, you can find out the details at www.uziacgames.com. Each of the 2 game boards is divided into separate spaces. Some are numbered, some are not numbered. The numbered rooms correspond with a room deck, and that's a deck of cards that ranges from 1 to 20, and that is going to tell us where the ghost will appear during the ghost hour, which is midnight. As he appears on a room location with a number, we're going to place a red token there, and that's going to tell us that he will never appear in that location again. And eventually, as the game proceeds, we're going to be able to somewhat predict where the ghost will appear in future turns. The more of those red cubes that are on the board, the more information we're going to have to predict his whereabouts. Now, at the beginning of the game, we're playing with 3 investigators. We're going to remove 8 cards from the room deck. So that's going to reduce the room deck from 20 cards down to 12. So we don't have complete information as to where the ghost is going to appear, but it's going to give us an indication where we can predict his whereabouts. During a player turn, each of the players can perform 3 actions. And those actions range from moving and running, unlocking doors, searching for markers, solving clues, picking up, exchanging, or giving items, proving a ghost, pulling a ghost, or summoning a ghost. During setup, we've placed search tokens on the board. And as we move about the building, we're able to investigate those search tokens, and those will give us either items, special items, clues, or will contain no information. And we resolve those by use of search actions. Many of the rooms include door markers. When a door marker is in place, the door is locked. In order to enter the door, we have to perform a unlock action, and that will happen by examining the icon on the board. That will tell us how many key results we need in order to unlock the door. Once a door is unlocked, barring any game mechanism, it will remain open for the rest of the game. As a result of our search actions, we might uncover clues. Once a clue is uncovered, we're going to turn a clue card over, placing a clue token on it, and then placing the corresponding clue token wherever that clue was found. In subsequent turns, we can attempt to solve that clue and in turn gain evidence which will help us in our investigation proving the child ghost's existence. As the clues are uncovered, we're going to gain access to summon dice. Now, these dice have only one result on each of them, 1 out of 6. The more of those we get, the better we're going to be at summoning the ghost and being able to pull him towards us, which will allow us to potentially prove his existence. After all the investigators have taken their turn, the clock is going to advance 15 minutes. As the clock advances, it will eventually return to midnight, which is the ghost hour. During that time, that's where the game is going to fight back against the investigators. The ghost is going to appear. We're going to draw a room card that will tell us where he appears, and then we're going to draw an environment card, and that is going to have an effect on the game in some manner, either causing havoc for the players or restricting their ability to perform their investigation of some nature. During the course of the game, the investigators might acquire magnifying glasses. Those have 3 uses on them, and each of the investigators can have one of those at a time. Magnifying glasses are going to give us additional dice while we're performing search, solve, or prove actions, thus increasing our ability to successfully complete those actions. In addition to the summon dice that I spoke of earlier, we also have 2 other sets of dice. The green dice are our key dice, and they have a 50% distribution, 3 keys and 3 blanks. The blue dice are our clue dice, and they have a total of 3 separate results. There are 3 eyes, 2 cameras, and 1 cobweb. And those are going to become important as we play through, knowing that distribution will directly affect our ability to solve those actions. Obviously, the cobwebs are going to be the most difficult to attempt to deal with. Cameras next, and finally the eyes third. As an example, if a character moves into a space with a search token, he can attempt to do a search action by successfully rolling the icons that are listed next to the token. In this case, we would need to have a result of one eye and one cobweb. Each of the players begins the game with 3 clue die. Now they can get additional dice from pieces of equipment or if they've acquired a magnifying glass. Each time the dice are rolled, the investigator spends an action. In subsequent turns, after a search attempt is made, if part of the solution is rolled, we can keep those dice and just re-roll using another action the remaining dice and attempt to solve that search action. So as an example, if this was our roll with 3 dice, we have an eye and we have a cobweb. So we would have successfully completed that search. We would invert the token and find out the results. And again, those results could include an item, a special item, a clue, or nothing there. Our ultimate goal of the game is to complete all of the prove actions that are listed on the ghost's card. In order to attempt a prove action, we have to be in the same space as the ghost. Then the investigator would select one of the combinations that is listed on the card and attempt a prove action. Prove action is using the clue dice in an attempt to match the corresponding combinations on a set in the card. When we're successful, we'll place a blue die there to remind us that we've completed that action. And if we're able to prove all of the actions listed on the card, we win the game. It's worth noting that each ghost has a special ghost hour ability and a lingering effect. And those are going to change the play of the game with those abilities. As an example, the child ghost, during the ghost hour, when the ghost appears, we close all adjacent doors to its appeared space. So as an example, if the ghost appeared in room 2 and these doors were opened previously, they're going to slam shut and we're going to have to reopen those with an unlock action. Each ghost also has a lingering effect, and that's a special effect that is in play throughout the game. In this case, the child ghost's lingering effect is that the players must first satisfy all 4 eye icon sets in the red box below before any other icon sets are resolved. So we're going to have to resolve these eye results, 4 of those, within the red box before we could attempt any of the other prove actions. And incidentally, when we do find clue and we solve it, that enables us to draw one of these evidence tokens. You'll notice a set of icons at the bottom of the deck, of the card. It says Seance Ghost Mode. And if we're able to match all of these icons with the evidence, that allows us a special action called Seance. And it's a very powerful action which allows us to control, once per game, we can draw the ghost to a specific location on the board, and if we've prepared ourselves, all of the investigators can attempt to do prove actions against the ghost in that space. It's the only time in the game that we're going to really know where the ghost will appear for certain. And that's going to complete our brief overview of the game's mechanics. There's much more involved than what I've gone through, but we'll deal with that as we do our playthrough. I think next I'm going to go through the setup procedure and we'll find out how the game is set up and prepare ourselves for the start of the game. Setup begins by selecting an environment board. On one side of the board we have the asylum, And on the other side we have the museum. Museum is slightly more difficult than the asylum board, so that should be reserved for after we have a few playthroughs under our belt. Next, we select our investigators. I've chosen to play a 3-investigator solo game, and I've randomly selected the investigators from the 4 that are available. Now, normally these investigator cards are part of what the game calls storybook mode. If we flip over the card, the investigator, we get a small statement as to the background of the investigator and how they were drawn into the scene. But you'll notice there's a little icon on the bottom, and that's the storybook icon. Normally these cards are used during storybook mode, which is sort of a campaign game where we link several games together. The cards can be used outside of storybook mode for standard game, and we would only be using the lower portion of the card where it says investigator ability. Each of the investigators has a special ability that they can use during the game, and the rules actually state that we can use these during a normal play. I'm going to have the cards here just as a reference for myself, but I'm not going to use the investigator's ability during this initial playthrough. And then we place the investigator tokens at the entrance for each of the investigators that we have selected to start the game. Our first investigator is a clairvoyant named Madame Bro. Next is Kate Burkham. She's a photojournalist. And finally we have Mark Tanner. He's the chief investigator. Our next step is the environment deck. What we do is we go through the environment cards and we find the 10 common cards and the 5 cards that are specific to the environment chosen. In this case, we're going to have the 10 common cards and the 5 asylum cards that will be specific to this board. We shuffle that deck up, and that will be used during the ghost hour. Next is our room deck. Room deck has a total of 20 cards in it. Now we're playing with 3 investigators, and per the rules, we're supposed to discard 8 random cards from the room deck. Then we shuffle the remaining cards and form a deck that we'll use during play. The room cards will tell us where the ghost will appear at any given time. Then we take the clue deck and we shuffle that, and we randomly lay out 7 clues across the top of the board. The unused clue cards are placed back into the box sight unseen, and they'll not be used during the game. Next we take the item deck, shuffle that, and place that in a convenient area near the board. When a search token indicates that we found an item, we'll draw the top card from the item deck and add that to the investigator's collection of items. An investigator can hold a maximum of 3 items at any given time. They can hold any number of special items, but are limited to 3 items. Items are continual use cards that are not consumed, whereas special items are one-time use only. Once they're used, they're removed from the game. And speaking of special items, we're going to shuffle the special items deck, and we're going to select 3 cards at random. Now on the back of the ghost card, there's a list of recommended special items that the players may use instead of choosing them at random. In the case of the ghost child, the recommended special items are Secret Passage, Spectral Stone, and 1 random special item. So that's what I've done. I've located the Secret Passage, Spectral Stone, and a random special item, and I've shuffled those and created the special items deck. Now, as we're using special items during the game, we're going to utilize something called search markers. For each special item that we place in the deck, we're going to randomly draw one of these markers, and we're able to place that on a piece of furniture anywhere on the game board. That serves as an extra search location for the heroes. We're going to randomly draw 3 of those tokens. We're able to place those on any furniture item on the board. So as an example, we're going to draw one and place it on this gurney over here. Another one we can place in the bathtub. And another one we'll place in this wheelchair. And those are going to offer our investigators additional places to conduct search actions. Now we're going to shuffle our search tokens, and we're going to place one near each icon that is listed on the board. And that will allow the investigators to travel to that location and conduct a search action in the hope of finding an item, special item, or clue. So we've placed a search token next to each of the icon sets, including the search markers that we placed in the previous step. Those are going to be searchable areas on the map. Now wherever we see a key icon, we're going to place one of these door markers there that will signify that the doors are locked at the start of the game. We'll have to conduct unlock actions in order to gain access to those rooms. We'll place those markers throughout the map. And next we place our ghost card, our ghost token, the clock, reference card, and our evidence tokens near the bottom of the ghost card. Then we collect our magnifying glass tokens, our extra clue, key, and summon dice, and our item tokens for use later in the game. Our miscellaneous tokens, which include fire tokens, timers, summon token, barrier, corpse, and our red and blue markers can be kept in the tray that's provided with the game to keep things organized. The game is now set and we're ready to begin following the turn sequence. We begin the turn sequence with each of our investigators taking a turn, one round. That will involve them performing 3 actions. We'll start with Madame Brieux. She is the clairvoyant, and she will take 3 actions. Her first action is going to be a move action. She's going to move from the entrance into room 12. Now there's 2 tokens here. So she can conduct a search action to attempt to flip over one of those search tokens and find out what's there. You'll notice that there are icon sets. One is on the desk, and this one we added due to the special items in the game in the wheelchair. So she can select any of those 2 and perform a search action. Now the differences between search, solve, and prove, those are important to make sure we lock those down. A search action involves game board icon sets and search markers. So whenever we do a action that is involving these icons that are printed on the board or these tokens that we've placed, that will involve a search action. A solve action always involves solving clue cards. And finally, prove actions, those will always involve solving sets on the ghost card. So those are the differences. So Madame Brieux is going to attempt to do a search action. She's going to look at the papers on the desk, and we'll see if she can solve that. Now to solve it, she needs to get at least 1 eye. Without any equipment, each of the investigators has 3 clue dice. So she's going to roll those dice and we'll see if we can get an eye to solve that search. She has 3 eyes, so we've solved that, and that allows us the ability to turn that token over and see what we find. And she ended up getting nothing here. Okay, that token is discarded, and that is her second action. So we'll discard that token, And now she has one action remaining. And I should point out now on this search token that's here, you'll see there's like a clock symbol there. And what that represents is if we undertake a search action there and we fail it, the ghost is going to gain a time token. And if the ghost ever accumulates 3 of those, the clock is going to move 15 minutes. So these are somewhat kind of dangerous, so to speak, to undertake because you could end up consuming more time than you want to. And I think for her third action, she's going to do another move action. She'll move into this hallway and kind of prepare herself for the next turn for either maybe opening one of the doors or continuing moving through the building. That's going to complete Madame Brioux's turn. We'll move on now to Kate Burkham. She is the photojournalist. And I think what she's going to do is she's going to take 2 move actions, 1 and 2, and then she's going to attempt to open the door into this room. So she's going to do a unlock action. Now to perform an unlock action, we're going to roll 3 of these key dice. And if we're able to get the number of keys that are listed in front of the door, we can open that door. And then as a part of an unlock action, you're able to move through the door into the room for free. So we'll have her roll the key dice and attempt an unlock action. She needs 2 successes. And unfortunately, she has only 1, so that's going to end her turn. Now we'll move on to Mark Tanner. He is the chief investigator. He's going to take 2 move actions, 1 and 2, and he's going to attempt to open this door. So he needs 2 successes with the key dice. So we'll have him make the roll and see if he's successful. And he has no successes there. So that is a complete turn for the investigators. And as we've completed a full round with the investigators, we advance the clock 15 minutes. Now when that clock gets to midnight again, we're going to have a ghost hour, and that's where the game will fight back against us. And now we're ready to begin our next player round. We'll begin with our lead investigator, and that's Madame Brieux. She is going to attempt a unlock action to try to get into the office. Now the office has a very valuable location. You'll notice this spyglass symbol that's on top of the file cabinet. That allows a player to gain one of those magnifying glasses, and that's going to add extra dice when we're resolving the various tests: search, prove, solve. So she'll try to do that. Now we need to get 2 door icons. This will be her first of 3 actions. And here's her first roll. She has 1, so we can keep that. And we can re-roll the other 2, taking a second action. And she's got it. She's got her second key. That's going to unlock the door, and when you unlock a door, part of that action allows you a free action to enter the office. In this case, you can enter the room. And for her third action, she's going to utilize that magnifying glass space. So that's going to gain her a magnifying glass, and we're going to place that next to her card. And you don't have to do this, but I like to put 3 cubes on there, and then as I use the magnifying glass, I remove a cube, and once all the cubes are gone, the magnifying glass is removed, and you have to get another one. So I'm going to place that by Madame Brioux's card. That's going to end her turn. Next up is Kate Burkham, and she's going to attempt to open this door on the north side of the hallway. She needs 2 key icons to open that door. And she has 1. All right, we're going to spend another action and attempt to get that second key. Oh no, she has no successes there. I guess we'll spend her third action and try again. And she's got it now, so that door now is open. It's going to give her access to that hallway going to the north. That's going to end her turn. We'll move on now to Mark Tanner. Mark is going to begin with a move action. He's going to enter the room. And for his second action, he as well is going to gain a magnifying glass. And now for his third action, he's going to attempt a search action to try to find out what's underneath that search token. Now, you'll notice now that this icon sequence here is 2 eyes and 2 cameras, so that would require us to have 4 dice in order to solve that, because we only have 3 dice right now. So what Mark Tanner is going to do is he is going to spend one of the uses of his magnifying glass, and that's going to award him an extra die to use during the test. So we will remove one of the cubes from his magnifying glass, and then we're going to give him an extra clue die to use for this search test. And this is going to be his third action, so this will be pretty tough. We have to get 2 eyes and 2 cameras. We'll see if we can do it. Here's the roll. Well, we have 3 eyes and a cobweb, so he failed on that. And that is going to end the investigator's round. And that advances the clock now to the half hour. And we'll begin with Madame Brieux, and I think she is going to attempt a search action on that token. Now, she's also going to use one of the uses of her spyglass, and that's going to award her a 4th die to use. Now, the use of that magnifying glass is for the entire search action. So even if we take additional search actions with various rolls, we only need to spend use of that magnifying glass once, and then that will still award us that extra die for the entire length of the test. All right, here's her search roll. And she ends up with 1 camera and a total of 3 eyes. So there's different strategies that we can use in preserving the dice that we've rolled. As an example, we know that the cameras are harder to come by than the eyes are. So we could, even though we rolled 1 eye, we might be better off re-rolling all 3 of those in an attempt to try to get that other camera. So I think that's what we'll try to do. We're going to use another action, and we're going to re-roll those dice. And she has 2 webs and an eye. So I think what we'll do is we'll spend her third action, and we're just going to re-roll all of these dice and hopefully come up with a camera and 2 eyes. And she came close, but not quite. We have 2 cameras, but only 1 eye, so she's failed. All right, that will complete her turn. We'll move on now to Kate Burkham. All right, Kate is going to, since she opened that door on the north side of the hallway, she's going to move into this hallway, and I think she's going to attempt a search action on this gurney. So we need an eye and a web. Now, Kate only has 3 clue dice to use. She doesn't have a magnifying glass yet, so here is the first roll. And she rolls an eye and a camera. So we're just going to spend her second action and re-roll all of those dice. And she did it. She has the web and she has the eye. So we're able to find out what that search token is all about. I'll turn that over. And that is a clue. All right. So we can remove this token from the gurney. And what we do now is we reveal the first clue. So we turn over the first clue card on the left side, and that is the clue that we have. And that reads, while you are searching, you hear a click. A faint sound of a timer can be heard in your proximity. Time seems to move faster. Solve the following to reveal ghostly evidence. And as you'll notice, there's one of those timer icons on there. So what that means is if we attempt to solve this clue and we don't solve that, the timer token is going to be added to the ghost. When the ghost gets 3 timers, the person that set that off loses the rest of their turn, and the clock advances 15 minutes. So what we do is we take a clue token, clue number 1, place that on the clue, and then we place that token in the space where it was discovered. And the clue token that we revealed is removed from the game. And now it is Mark Tanner's turn. He's going to do a move action. He'll move back into the hall, and he's going to attempt to open that north door. That'll give him access to many rooms in there. For his second action, he'll do the unlock action. And he needs 2 successes. And he has only 1. We'll save that, and we'll take his third action and try to unlock that door again. And he failed. All right, that is going to end the round for the investigative team. And we advance the clock now. It is 9 o'clock. And we'll begin a new round, and this is Madame Briot's turn. And she's going to do a move action, 1, 2. She'll use up 2 actions for movement, and she's going to do a search action in this wastebasket. She needs only 1 eye to be successful. And here's her search roll. She's not going to use a magnifying glass for this roll. And she rolls 3 cameras, and that is a failure. It's going to bring her turn to a close, and we'll move on to Kate Burkham. All right, I think Kate is going to move into room 2, and she's going to attempt an unlock action. She's going to try to unlock this padded room. Now she needs 3 keys there in order to do that. And this is going to be her second action, an unlock action. And she has no successes. Well, the odds on us being able to get one success here with 3 successes is slim, but we'll use her third action for a roll. And she only managed 1 key. Okay, that's going to end her turn. We'll move on to Mark Tanner. All right, Mark is in the hall, and he's going to attempt to open this door. We need 2 key results in order to do that, so his first action will be an unlock action. And he has 1 success, so we'll keep that. And we'll re-roll the other 2 for his second action. And he got it. He's got the second key. That opens the door, and as a free action, he can enter that room. That's the bed ward. And for Mark's third action, he's going to investigate that wheelchair there. He needs 1 eye to be successful, so we'll have him make the roll. And he will not use a magnifying glass. He's just going to use the 3 dice that he normally gets. He needs 1 eye. And he's got it. So we'll see what that search token has behind it. And that's a special item. All right. So we get to draw the top card of the special items deck. And that is revealed to be a spectral stone. And that reads, Spectral Stone. An odd necklace with a translucent glowing stone. Play this card on any player's turn. Choose 1. Look at the top room card. Shuffle with next top 2 cards and place face down on top of deck. Cannot be used if 2 or less cards remain. Or number 2, look at 1 room card discarded to the game box during setup. Discard after 1 use. So that gives us a little bit of reconnaissance ability to see what is coming in the room deck. So that's an interesting card. We'll add that to Mark Tanner's collection of items. That's his first special item. He can still carry 3 regular items. And we're going to advance the clock now, and it's going to go to the ghost hour, midnight. First thing we do now is we go into what is known as the ghost hour. And the ghost hour starts by drawing and playing an environment card. Here's the draw. And the card is revealed to be Terrible Whale. All players must discard all magnifying glass tokens in their possession. Discard this card. Oh, so Madame Brieux and Mark Tanner are going to lose the magnifying glasses that they collected earlier. That's unfortunate. So those are returned to the supply, and that environment card is discarded. Next, we're going to draw a room card, and that will be the room that the ghost is going to appear in. And he's going to appear in room 5. Room 5 is the morgue, and that's kind of a difficult location to get to anyway. So he will appear in the morgue. We're going to mark that location with a red cube, and we know that the ghost will never appear there again. The reason the morgue is difficult is, you'll notice with the door icons here, you need 2 keys, but it has a lock red icon there, and that means that as soon as you open the door, and if you move in, the door closes immediately behind you, and you have to re-unlock it again to get out. All right. Now the ghost is going to remain in that location for 1 full round. So if our heroes can get to that location, they would be able to attempt to do prove actions there in the ghost's space. But the morgue is a very difficult place to reach, and we're really not in any position to get there anyway. But that's what happens. And that completes our first play of the ghost hour. And that will happen at the midnight hour of every time the clock reaches midnight. We're going to have a ghost hour. He's going to appear, and an environment card will be drawn, and it's going to have some negative effect on the investigation. Well, so far we've been able to uncover 1 clue, and we have a piece of special item from Mark Tanner, and we've managed to do some search actions and reveal some of the tokens, and we've opened some doors. So we're making some progress, but we have a long way to go. You'll note from that first session that we've played that the actions that we have are very finite. We only have 3 of those per round, per investigator, and we have to use those very wisely if we're going to eventually do prove actions, enough of them to prove the existence of that child ghost. I think I'm going to end the video here, and we're going to pick up again in the next video to see if the investigators can prove the existence of the child ghost. Thank you so much for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. I hope you're enjoying this playthrough of this very fine game, Skeptics. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, and in the meantime, have a nice evening. Good night.